Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, March 16th. Ian Cameron with you. We'll have Perlo joining the show in a little bit as well, ready to break down the Monday NHL card. Alex is taking a day just to get feel a little bit better. He'll be back tomorrow for the big Tuesday card. We've got 5 games on tap in the NHL on this Monday. We'll break those down in just a moment. First, of course, we'll look back on what we saw on Sunday in NHL action. Actually, before we even get to the recap, we did have some news earlier this morning in the NHL. Not that it's big news. I think we pretty much all knew that the World Cup of Hockey was going to make a return in 2028. The NHL did have plans to do another World Cup in a couple of years, but they made those plans official earlier today, announcing the host cities for the World Cup of Hockey as well. February 2028, so it'll be a lot like the Olympics, where they will put that tournament replacing the All-Star break essentially. So that'll be coming up in a couple of years, and it'll be NHL rules, which I like. We're not going to see this 3-on-3 overtime like we did at the Olympics to decide these games in the medal round that go to overtime. So that's good. They announced that Prague over in Czechia is going to be one of the host cities. Calgary, Alberta will be those 2 cities will be the host cities for the round robin, the preliminary round portion of the tournament, and then the semifinals and the final will be in Edmonton in February 2028. So the World Cup of Hockey is a go. Now, we don't know if Russia's going to be part of this, and I hope Russia's finally going to be allowed to compete in these international tournaments, including the World Cup, but there's no definitive answer yet as far as that's concerned. But they did make that official, the World Cup coming in February 2028 with Prague over in Czechia, and then Calgary and Edmonton as the host cities there in that for the upcoming tournament there in a couple of years. Let's get into NHL for yesterday, and it was a disappointing day. It was, as far as it started with St. Louis, man, and they fell behind 2-0 in the first period, and I didn't give up hope, and they got it to 2-1, and that's just an unfortunate result because St. Louis almost doubled Winnipeg in shots, and Eric Comrie plays very well against the St. Louis Blues again. I know Jonathan had the stat in the chat yesterday that Eric Comrie had good numbers against St. Louis, and he was able to turn aside St. Louis. They made it interesting late, but just a few little mistakes here and there, and the Winnipeg Jets 3-2 win over St. Louis. We talked a lot about St. Louis getting back into the playoff race, and Winnipeg's not completely out of it right now either. They've gone through now they've lost a couple of games, but they are now all of a sudden in a position in the Western Conference where the Jets are 5 points back of Seattle, who currently have the second and final wild card spot. So like I said, it's they're not even out of it yet completely. They have a lot of work to do. Don't get me wrong. And St. Louis, that really was a costly loss for them because now they're 7 back. And, of course, Seattle won later in the day against Florida. But Winnipeg, not mathematically out just yet, and they get a 3-2 win there over St. Louis. Ottawa, 7-4 over the San Jose Sharks yesterday. Not a pretty return to NHL action for Laurent Brossoit. 6 goals allowed on just 23 shots. So long time being away from NHL action, and it kind of looked like it yesterday. Not a great game from him. And to be honest, Wallmark was a little bit shaky, but it turned into a very high-scoring affair. One of 2 bargain bin specials came through for us in this game for me with Colin Graff for San Jose at plus 400. It was also Alex's bargain bin special, one of his as well yesterday at plus 400. So it was great to be able to cash with Colin Graff once again, who continues to be a very, very productive player for the Sharks, having a very, very fine season for them. This was actually a good game for me because I had a little small piece of the over, and primarily I had San Jose team total over 2.5 in this game. I'm glad I went that route more than the money line because, the one thing I was fearful of was not really wanting to totally back Laurent Brossoit when he'd been out for so long. And of course, Ottawa puts up a 7 spot, but we did have the team total over with San Jose. And that was a good approach to go with there. They do get 4, but they get defeated by the San Jose Sharks in that game by a score of 7-4 in that one. Big 2 points for Ottawa. They need every win they can get. They're 3 points back of the 2 wildcard teams, Boston and Detroit. So that was a very important 2 points yesterday for the Ottawa Senators. Disappointing weekend for the Montreal Canadiens. Back-to-back losses at home against San Jose and Anaheim, which means now that's twice that they've lost to both the Sharks and the Ducks in the course of the last few weeks, because they lost to both teams out in California, and the California teams were able to come into Montreal and get the job done once again. 4-3 for Anaheim in that game. Nice win for the Anaheim Ducks there. Jacob Fowler, being able to get a win against him was very well done. But once again with Montreal, there's too many defensive breakdowns. There was multiple blunders last night defensively, which opened the door for Anaheim goals. Loss of coverage to Cutter Gauthier, unacceptable on the game-winning goal with 2.5 minutes left in the third period. Cutter Gauthier has only been by far the most lethal goal scorer that the Anaheim Ducks have had since the Olympic break. How the hell do you lose coverage on him? And somehow Montreal did. Lane Hudson had a rough defensive game. I was a little concerned about, Lane Hudson, and that we know he's a gifted player with the puck on his stick, a power play, running that, shooting the puck, passing the vision. He's got a long way to go defensively still, and he's going to have nights like that. And we definitely saw that last night against Anaheim. It was a bit of a rough night for him. But Anaheim, big 4-3 win. Great response by the Ducks. They got shut out blank by Ottawa Saturday afternoon. By the way, I should point this out too. How the hell do we have both referees for a game involving the Montreal Canadiens, French Canadian? How is that possible? I understand maybe assigning one, but both of the referees, Francis Chiron and Freddie Laquillier were the referees last night in that Anaheim Montreal game. That's a bad look. That's a bad look, because someone can easily, shout from the mountaintops conspiracy if something were to happen where, there's a bad call against a Montreal opponent and you see the names of the referees being Francis Chiron, Freddie Laquillier. That's all I'm saying. So, you can assign one player, one referee, like I said, but like I said, it could be something that I'm not saying that that would be the case, that there'd be some favoring of Montreal, but I'm saying you're opening the door for other people to think that at any point. But nevertheless, didn't matter last night. Montreal lost the game 4-3 to the Anaheim Ducks. Terrible loss for the Minnesota Wild. Awful. Very, very bad weekend for them. You lose back-to-back home games to the New York Rangers and the Toronto Maple Leafs, 2 of the non-playoff teams in the Eastern Conference. And, to be honest, look, did they outshoot the Leafs? Yes. Did they outshoot the Rangers heavily? Yes, they did. But I thought all weekend long in both of these games, like if you watch the games, I know they piled up the shots. They had, 45 shots against the New York Rangers on Saturday. Once they got, going in the third period, they got the 2 goals to get back within 1 against the Leafs last night. And then they did start controlling the play. But they are not making crisp puck plays right now. Passes aren't clicking. Hesitation shooting the puck, missed nets. There's a lot of issues at the moment right now with Minnesota at this point in time, and they're not getting consistent enough goaltending. Like Toronto, 4 goals last night on just 26 shots. And then, of course, like I said, the puck play just hasn't been good enough here from the Minnesota Wild. Even Quinn Hughes yesterday bobbled the puck a couple of times, stuff that's usually natural for him. So it was just it's been a very disjointed looking Minnesota team, and their offensive execution has certainly been lacking at this point in time. So, Tarasenko got both goals last night, but Toronto able to hang on, and Minnesota did make a good push, but they end up losing 4-2 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think we can get close now to saying that for the Minnesota Wild, the door is just about slammed shut on catching Colorado for the division. That's not happening. You're 9 points back, and actually Colorado still got 3 games in hand on the Colorado Avalanche as well. You're going to be damn fortunate if you catch Dallas for second right now at this point in time in the Central Division. So, like I said, Minnesota, with this weekend, they've done themselves a disservice. Now, they're in a situation where there's just nobody in the wild card ranks that's even close to Minnesota. Like, Minnesota will not fall out of third in the Central. Like third in the Central is likely going to be where they finish, because if you look at the standings, they're 9 back of Colorado, but Colorado's got 3 games in hand. They're 6 back of Dallas, so there's a little better chance to catch the Stars, but Dallas has 2 games in hand on Minnesota. So, like I said, that was a weekend of back-to-back losses against teams you should beat. That's basically moving us much closer to Minnesota finishing third in the Central and having to start their, first round playoff series, probably. Now, I don't want to say for sure, probably against the Dallas Stars, because Dallas is actually only 3 back of Colorado. They could still win the division, but probably against Dallas, and they'd have to start it on the road, as the Stars would have home ice advantage. So, like I said, not a good weekend for the Minnesota Wild there. We land with a push on the full game total, and Minnesota team total, unfortunately, falling. You got to give Stolarz credit as well. Stolarz was very, very good yesterday. It was one of his better starts in a while, but still, it's a game you got to have if you're Minnesota. Edmonton, very, very good win, and we're finding out how to bet Edmonton now. When Ingram's in net, it's almost like not that they buckle down defensively, but I find they play defensively with a lot more confidence, and they did that last. I thought it was a very, very clean defensive game from Edmonton, and we have not seen many of those of late. They only allowed 27 shots. Nashville only had 15 shots through the first 2 periods. I thought Connor Ingram was very good. He made 26 saves on 27 shots last night, but I thought they played a solid game in front of them as well. So you got to give Edmonton credit for that. 3-1 victory. Sorry about that. We just had a little, I just clicked the wrong button. I exited myself out of the studio, but we're back. But it was a nice, solid 3-1 victory here for the Edmonton Oilers in that game last night. Like I said, Connor Ingram, Chris Knobloch announced it before the game. He's basically going to be our starting goalie right now. He's been the goalie that's been in the best form for us. And like I said, he played a solid game. But again, they played better in front of him. You can tell that there's a lack of trust, a lack of confidence, is that they're going to get those saves that they need whenever Tristan Jarry was in there. So this is pretty much set that, at least for now, Connor Ingram's going to get the majority of the starts down the stretch here for this Edmonton Oilers team. They get a 3-1 win against Nashville. And the last game of the night, how about the Seattle Kraken? A great win for them against the Florida Panthers. A credit to Alex. Alex liked Seattle in that spot despite the back-to-back. They get the job done 6-2 over the Florida Panthers. They got out to a great start in the first period, a 3-1 lead after the opening 20 minutes, and then they basically rolled the victory from that point on. 6 goals, which is an outburst for a team like Seattle. And we talked about how Seattle, sometimes their issue is scoring goals, and sometimes they can go into these offensive droughts. But one player that has not been in an offensive drought for them, Bobby McMann, and that's the best part of the day yesterday was obviously the 2-0 bargain bin special sweep for me yesterday. We had obviously Colin Graff for San Jose, plus 400, and we also had Bobby McMann, Bobby McMann for Seattle at plus 340. Have yourself a debut with your new team. Now, Vancouver and Florida, he played both games this weekend. Bobby McMann for Seattle, his first 2 games with the Seattle Kraken, and what a weekend he had. He ended up with 3 goals, 5 points total in the 2 games against the Canucks and Panthers. And, I said right from the moment that trade happened that he was going to be a great fit for Seattle. He's what they needed, another little injection of offense, and he has given them that, no question, in the first couple games as a member of the Seattle Kraken. So beautiful thing to see a 2-0 bargain bin special of the night sweep. And, of course, Alex, who does a great job putting the clips together that we post on the Ice Guys Twitter for these bargain bin special, highlighting when we cash a bargain bin special, does a great job attaching a lot of times the song that I reference with certain players to the bargain bin special clip. Like, for instance, if I've cashed some Dylan Holloway bargain bin specials in the past, Holloway, he'll attach the Madonna song, Holiday, to it. Same with last night. He attached the Janis Joplin hit, Me and Bobby McGee, to it on the clip. So great job by Alex with that. It just makes it so much better, when you hear the song in the background as the highlight of the goal is being played with those bargain bin special video posts from the Ice Guys Twitter account. So great stuff to see that. It's really the bright spot of the day, because it was very up and down, as far as more down than up with sides and totals yesterday in the NHL. But the bargain bin specials came through, 2-0 sweep, and we'll see if we can put together a solid result here with the Monday slate. We got 5 games on tap, and we will get into those right now. And we will begin with Calgary taking on Detroit. We've got Detroit minus 180, home favorites. The total here sitting at 5.5 across the board in this one. I want to fade Detroit right now, so it's dog or pass. I don't know if I'm that excited about taking Calgary, though. That's the only problem. The Flames, they're 1-3 in their last 4 games. The only win was a game against New Jersey, where, quite honestly, if Jacob Markstrom wasn't so terrible, they probably wouldn't have won that game. It's been a problem. They're just 2-7 if you go back further in their last 9 games, Calgary. For Detroit, I mean, you got to win this game. It's really that simple. It's the Calgary Flames. It's one of the worst teams in the Western Conference and the NHL. It's a Calgary team that's limping in here, 2-7 in the last 9 games. You got to get the job done here, but I ain't laying a price with this, and I'm not interested in Detroit at a price like this. They've lost 3 in a row, 5 of the last 6. We've talked about how the injuries have hurt this team, and they've struggled to score goals suddenly during this run. There's still no Dylan Larkin, the captain. He's out still. Andrew Kopp's still out. Michael Rasmussen. They're absolutely gutted at center. The center ice position has taken a huge hit for them with all these injuries. That's not necessarily what you want to look at as a bet-on situation by any stretch of the imagination. And then compounding that, is the fact that, again, the offense is dried up for Detroit. 3 goals in the last 2 games. They've scored 2 goals or less in 3 of the last 5 going into this matchup. Now, the good news for Detroit is they have certainly owned the Calgary Flames. They've won 7 straight head-to-head meetings against the Calgary Flames, but there's just it's not a price that I want to take Detroit in right now. I think but it should be a game where they buckle down and get the win, and they shouldn't overlook Calgary because they're off 3 consecutive losses to Florida, Tampa Bay, and Dallas. I guess the one thing I will give Detroit, I don't want to say credit, but I will give them a minor pass for this 1-5 slide, is that the schedule has been pretty difficult. The only win in the last 6 games for Detroit was against New Jersey. They did have to play Florida twice, and I know Florida's out of it, but, it's still a team that hasn't completely rolled over. And then Vegas, Tampa Bay, Dallas, it has been a pretty rigorous schedule here for the Detroit Red Wings. So this is a step down for them, no question, but there's not enough that I like, not even close to enough that I like out of the Detroit Red Wings' current form at the moment that makes me even the slightest bit interested in them in this kind of a price range. So I guess by default it's Calgary or pass, but I'm not that anxious to bet Calgary. Dustin Wolf is confirmed in net for Calgary. It should be John Gibson here for the Detroit Red Wings in this game, although it's not confirmed as of yet. The young kid, too, is out. This is a guy that they had called up, Michael Brandsig-Nygaard. He's on the injury report as well for the Detroit Red Wings and is not expected to play here in this one. Yeah, draw maybe, but I don't love the draw in this game. One bet I'll throw out at you if you really want to get involved. And I think for Detroit, the offense is obviously hard to come by at the moment. You got to try to rely more on Gibson and relying on your team to maybe play a good, tidy, sound defensive game right now. And I will say this about the Calgary Flames. Other than the 5 goals against Jersey, they only scored 2 against the Islanders in that 3-2 loss Saturday. They got shut out by the New York Rangers, which is pretty hard to do. They did score 3 against Washington, but for the most part, when the Flames lose, other than the 7-3 loss to Washington, the rest of the Flames losses in the last 10 games, during this 2-7 run, they scored 3 in the loss to Washington, but 6 of the other 7 losses they've scored 2 goals or less. They only scored 2 in the loss to the Islanders, shut out by the Rangers, 1 goal in the loss to Ottawa, 1 goal in the loss to Dallas, 2 goals in the loss to Anaheim, shut out in the loss to Los Angeles during that time. So I could get behind. Now, again, I'm not planning on betting this game, at least pre-game, but I could get behind possibly Calgary team total under here in this game. I could make a decent case for that because it seems like 6 of the last 7 Flames losses, they've scored 2 or less. And you got to think right now, if Detroit's going to win games with the struggles offensively and the ice and just the cluster injuries at the center position, that they're probably going to have to rely more on keeping the puck out of the net and John Gibson at the moment to win games. There he is. You see him. He's with us every Monday and Wednesday, for that matter. Perlo, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. What do you think here? First game, perfect timing. First game on the board here, Calgary, Detroit.
Well, I like your under look here. I have no goals first 5 and under 6.5. There's not much. Calgary doesn't have much pop. Detroit's missing a lot of players. I could see it being a tight game. You mentioned the draw. I don't mind the draw here. Detroit needs to at least get a point. But even more than that, I like Gibson over 23.5 saves. That's Calgary still shoots no matter what. Like they don't score, but they shoot a lot, and I imagine they will here. So that's probably my favorite bet. I do like Sider over 2.5 shots. He's been shooting because they have no forwards right now. They've been going to him a lot. So I like Sider over 2.5 shots. But overall, this is a tough game to cap. Calgary might Detroit could be playing tight. You said they're going to have to focus on defense. Detroit is probably so I could see a like 2-2, 3-2 game, something like that. And with that in mind, hopefully we get the overtime, and even more reason why we would get Gibson over saves. So 23.5 is what my favorite play on this game is.
There you go. All right. Excellent. As far as, there are a couple props, though, I do like. Actually, I like this game a little bit more, believe it or not, for props. I mean, I'm going to ride Backlund just because Backlund's now scored in back-to-back games for the Calgary Flames. You can get a pretty solid price there, plus 370 right now for him to find the back of the net here in this game. Another thing to point out for Calgary is Blake Coleman with Backlund and Farabee. Coleman scored last game, and Coleman has I think three goals in the last 5 games for this Flames team. So Coleman and Backlund for Calgary, I think, have some value as far as goal props going into this one tonight for them. For Detroit, it looks like with the Comfort could be centering Kane and DeBrincat. So if you're looking at value there with Comfort, you could definitely see that. There's John Leonard is, by the way, back in the lineup, and he did play against Dallas the other night. For the Detroit Red Wings. Does have 2 goals at the NHL level, John Leonard. We'll see if he can add to that. But I think if I were to look at someone that's got, a little value now because he's moved up, someone's got to center the top line now with all these injuries. Rasmussen, Larkin, and Kopp down the middle. Comfer, Finney, Casper, and Sheldon Dries look like that's going to be your 4 centers tonight here for the Red Wings. All right, next up, we've got the Los Angeles Kings taking on the New York Rangers. It's the Artemi Bowl, the Breadman Bowl. Yeah. Breadman Bowl is what we should call this, as Artemi Panarin returns to New York and Madison Square Garden for the first time since the trade, now as a member, of course, of the LA Kings. We've got LA minus 115, road favorites. The total here, 5.5 in this one. You wouldn't think Kings and Rangers earlier in the season you'd want to give this game the time of day, but the Rangers have suddenly won 4 in a row, playing some better hockey. Meanwhile, the LA Kings, we've talked about how they've transitioned to up-tempo, and they're much more fun and exciting to watch, playing with pace, playing to score goals. This is definitely, like I said, the Kings team that's playing at least to the eye test, a little more exciting brand of hockey. Kings are rolling, the Rangers are playing better. I want to say better, the Rangers, but we got to be careful with getting too carried away with the 4-game win streak, because you look at the last 2 games in particular. I mean, they were getting caved in both games that the Rangers played. They got outshot pretty heavily by Winnipeg, and then the Minnesota game in particular, that was just Shesterkin turning into a brick wall and facing 48 shots and being able to, stand on his head and preserve the victory. That being said, the Rangers have been much better finishing their chances. A lot of time, they have not needed a ton of shots and chances to put the puck in the net. During this 4-game win streak, we've seen the offense explode, which is pretty funny because we thought, after the Panarin trade, it's going to have to be scoring by committee for them. But they've had no issues during this win streak, this 4-game streak, where they've scored 4+ in each game and a grand total of 20 goals for this Rangers team in their last 4 games combined. So They have definitely been better offensively. You've got an LA team that's coming off a disheartening loss in New Jersey, 6-4 the other night against the Devils. That was a game they were up 3-2 going into the third. But the problem with this DJ Smith system sometimes, especially when you have a lead going into the third, is that they're playing a system now where they're constantly pushing, and they're constantly playing aggressive, and they're getting their D up in the play. It leaves you vulnerable, to odd man rushes and chances against the other way, and they kind of got into that problem against New Jersey. And New Jersey still got some offensive talent that can make you pay for playing that way, and they sure did. I mean, New Jersey took the lead 4-3. Kings actually tied it on a Kopitar power play goal, and then Jack Hughes responds with, I think it was from one knee, too. He goes down to shoot it, and a power play goal with 2.5 minutes left to give them the 5-4 lead, and then Meyer puts it away into the empty net. But that's what's going to happen sometimes, where when you play this way for 60 minutes, is you want to be aggressive and you want to add to the lead. You're going to be burned sometimes, but you can't have it both ways. We're screaming and yelling and pissed off about how Jim Hiller was sitting back too much. And they're not playing that way now with the lead under DJ Smith, but it still hurt them, obviously, against New Jersey. That being said, they have not lost 2 games in a row since DJ Smith took over as the head coach. They are off that Jersey loss. I don't usually like stepping in front of teams on win streak, but if I'm betting this side, it would be Kings or nothing for me. And I think there's some element to this handicap too of, not wanting to let down their new acquisition or Artemi Panarin. You want to win that one for him in his return to New York. You want to see him leave the ice surface victorious as opposed to losing against his former team, the team that traded him away. So I think you're going to get a really good bounce back effort here from the Kings. So I'm going to do a little sprinkle here of Kings money line split with Kings team total over. Now my fear is Shesterkin has played great lately, and he's going to be a net tonight. But they're still giving up a lot of chances and a lot of shots, the Rangers, and he's not going to be able to stop everything. And I like this full game over 5.5. Like I've said, we've been on these Rangers overs. We're going to keep going to it. 5-2 is the official mark to over 5.5 in the 7 games for the Kings since the coaching change. So we'll go back to it here once again. I'm very glad I almost didn't bet the New Jersey LA game Saturday over after the Islander game on Friday. Frustrated the hell out of me that it landed 3-2 and stayed under. But I came back to it. I said, if you commit to a theory and a strategy, the Kings overs are the way to go. You stick with it, and we stuck with it with Devils Kings. It flew way over the total, and I'll take it again tonight over 5.5. Burlow, what do you think here? Kings Rangers.
Yeah, a lot of good points there. Like when you look at the Rangers, they beat Philly on the road. They beat Calgary. They beat Winnipeg, and all of those games they were completely outshot. Minnesota especially. So they're just kind of feeling it a little bit offensively, high shooting percentage or whatever the case may be, and I'll take that and I'll go with the over again. Like you're saying, both of them are. The Rangers aren't really playing much defense. There's not too many. They're not blocking shots, obviously, to get outshot that badly in just about every game. And LA is shooting a lot. And you mentioned about Shesterkin playing really well lately. Hence, Shesterkin over saves. 24.5, I think, is actually a pretty good number here. In the Panarin situation, it's not just a guy who left New York. He was a guy who kind of didn't want to leave New York and just kind of was forced out. So even more reason why I like LA here. I like LA to win. I like LA to win this game. I like the over. I didn't even think about the team total over. I'm going to throw a little bit on that as well. You can probably get a flat 3 at a good price there. I haven't even looked at it, but and you also mentioned the defense being activated, and Clark over 1.5 shots is minus 145. He is their offensive guy. I think that's a good bet ongoing, not right now for him, because they are playing full press offense, not really structured at all. Just go out and try to get the puck. It's pretty much what Smith does. So DJ Smith does. It's just go get the puck, shoot the puck. That's pretty much what they're doing. And against a New York team that isn't really playing defense, I think LA wins this game. I like the over 5.5 best out of all of the bets, besides maybe Shesterkin over saves.
All right, there we go. Good stuff. As far as props for this game, Noah Laba, I'm going to take him tonight. He scored in back-to-back games here for the New York Rangers. We're going to ride it. Plus 750, I'm seeing, is the price. Andrei Kopitar's actually scored now in consecutive games for the Kings as well. So if you're talking about riding the goal streaks, there you go with Kopitar for the Kings and Noah Laba for the New York Rangers. Obviously, at Panarin, it makes sense, right? You want to take goal prop, assist prop, maybe sprinkle on over 1.5 points so that you can have a multi-point night back in New York against the Rangers. So, he's going to want to have a good game tonight. Everyone wants to play well against their old team, especially the first time they play their former team. So, obviously wouldn't talk anyone out of that. 5-game assist streak I like Ty Cartier. He's played well since they picked him up from the Seattle Kraken. So like I said, and I'm going to go back to the well too with the Rangers in particular. Gabe Perreault, who on the top line has started to find a little offensive surge here with Zibanejad and Lafreniere. I'm interested in that. He didn't score against New Jersey, and he's a New Jersey kid, but he's still in the area, New York, not that far away. I'm going to go back to the well, give Lafreniere a chance here for the LA Kings as far as a goal prop tonight. Not to mention, and this is one of the most bizarre things, too, that we've seen. We don't think of him as a defenseman that's going to put up a ton of points and certainly not put up a ton of goals necessarily. But in the 4 goals in the last 7 games for Vladislav Gavrikov of the New York Rangers on the blue line. And this is a former team, obviously, for Vladislav Gavrikov. Used to be a member of the LA Kings for a couple of seasons. He was traded there from Columbus a few years ago, spent a couple seasons in LA. So I'm going to sprinkle here on Gavrikov tonight for the New York Rangers. And again, the price for him is in that very, like I said, big price range now, 700 to 800 I'm seeing for Gavrikov to find the back of the net here tonight. All right, next up, we got Boston, New Jersey. This is the first game of a Monday night doubleheader on ESPN. Don't have many Monday night doubleheaders on ESPN, but we have one tonight. This is the first game, Boston, New Jersey. New Jersey minus 120, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. I'm actually seeing a couple books have 6.5s now. Now, early this morning, because I was waiting to see who's going to be in net for Boston. I knew it was probably going to be Markstrom because Sheldon Keefe's been going back and forth. He's been rotating Allen and Markstrom lately. I had a feeling it was going to be Korpisalo here for Boston, but I was, and I decided I'm going to be proactive, not reactive here, and I'm going to go ahead and thinking this is Korpisalo, bet this over 5.5 at minus 125. Actually, it was minus 130 when I bet it over 5.5, and I said I think it's going to be Korpisalo. Sure enough, Korpisalo's confirmed, and this thing steamed. 5.5s got wiped out. 6s across the board. It even started moving to 6.5 in some spots. Devils are an over team right now. If you watch New Jersey right now, Jack Hughes is feeling it. A lot of their best players are feeling it offensively right now, but they are still a team that's going to give it up defensively. No question about it. We keep seeing it game in, game out. 6-4, like the game we saw against LA on Saturday night. There's going to be a lot of those games in the New Jersey Devils' future, where they're going to score a bunch, they're going to give up a bunch too. That's just the way it's going to be. Now, Boston has kind of been in an offensive – they've been playing some lower-scoring games. They've also been involved in a lot of games facing teams, that have been battling for playoff positioning. Washington, San Jose, L.A., Washington twice. Both of those games stayed under. The L.A. game, obviously, was very good goaltending in that game. It stayed under. This is different now. You're going to play a New Jersey team that's basically playing a trading chances kind of game, a Devils team that has gone – 4-1 to the over in their last 5 games. The only game that stayed under was against Detroit, where the Red Wings were coming to play. They had lost back-to-back at home. Detroit's not lighting it up offensively right now anyway, and they played a really good game defensively against Jersey. That's the only recent Devils game that stayed under the total. So I thought at 5.5, I said if Korpisalo's in, I could see this moving, and boy, did I nail that. It moved, and it moved a lot, this total. At 6, I still like it. I do, even with the move. There are still plenty of 6s out there. There's only a couple books where it's moved to 6.5. 6 is still widely available. I like this over. I like Boston team total over a little bit too, because Markstrom's in net. Markstrom was a disaster the last time we saw him in net against Calgary. He was terrible in that game. Awful. I can't stress it enough how bad he was against the Calgary Flames. Boston, I think, could get some offense going. Their team total right now, I'm going to sprinkle pregame on Boston over 3, which you'll get it close to even money. I'm going to add over 2.5 in game if it falls to minus 120 or better. Because right now you can get over 2.5 at minus 165. 65 minus 170 is the prevailing price with the Boston team total over. If I can get that 2.5 down to minus 120 or better live in game, I will add more to the over 3 position that I have on Boston team total, which is currently over 3 plus 102 is what I bet at Bet Rivers. I'll add some over 2.5 at minus 120 or better in game with that. Perlo, what do you think here? And rather than the money line, because the reason I'm not taking Boston money line is A, they're on the road and they've only won 1 road game in their last, 7 or 8. But they did win their last road game. And this is New Jersey, so it's a chance, I think, for the Bruins to maybe finally win on the road. But I think Korpisalo in net, 1 game up, 1 game down is kind of what we've seen from him lately. And the way New Jersey's scoring and generating chances, that's why I stayed completely away, Perlo, from the Boston money line, because I think Boston can score goals, but I think they might give up some to this surging offense of the New Jersey Devils with Korpisalo in net. So for me, it's over. 6, the current number, and it's Boston team total over for me. Perlo, what do you think here, Bruins Devils?
No, I got on doing the show last night. I got on that right away when I saw 5.5. New Jersey is totally playing like that. I kind of mentioned it before that I think that once New Jersey felt they were out of it, they would loosen up and start scoring. They were always shooting a lot, but they couldn't score. And that has a lot to do with how coach prepares a team. But I can't see an under here at 5.5. I'll be very, very surprised. Like you said, I don't mind that Boston team total over, but if you're looking at that, I almost like exact score 3-3 or 4-4 or something like that. I think you're going to see goals all through here in this game. Boston is desperate right now. They need the points. New Jersey's playing loose. Total back and forth game. Love the over 5.5 here. Also, both Hughes brothers over shots. Ever since the Olympic break, they have been just shooting like a son of a gun. You could take them points or however you want, but they've been playing extremely loose and extremely well after that great moment for Jack at the Olympic break. So I would go with that. And McAvoy has been getting points a lot. So take him for an assist or something of that nature. Glad we got Korpisalo. Love the over 5.5. I was wondering, what do you think about the first period with LA and this one? You didn't really go by Fecta on this. Is there a reason for that, or is it just something?
This one, I like the over by I like the first period over a little bit. I just like the full game more.
Full game over more.
Full game more. Like this is probably a 90%, 10% split for me, which is a bigger split. Usually it's 75-20, or a lot of times it'll be 75-25. Sometimes it'll be 50-50. This is going to be much heavier skewed to the full game over with both games, Kings, Rangers, and Bruins.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if we get an under in the first period here, I'll probably be live betting the over second periods and third periods here. I think you'll start to see it pick up. But I'm with you. My favorite play is that over 5.5, and I'm glad I got it last night.
Yeah, goal props. I mean, I like Zacha against his old team, and obviously he's been playing pretty well of late for the Boston Bruins. Of course, former New Jersey Devil, spent many years there. I think he was there for a good 6 years or so before he even got to Boston. But Zacha for sure. We have to look at a couple players on the top line for Boston too. We always talked about Marat Husnudinov, but Fraser Minton now moved up to center that top line with Marat Husnudinov and David Pastrnak. So Fraser Minton's a great prop look, great value, outstanding value here tonight as far as goal prop. And we obviously scored a great shootout game winner against Washington on Saturday afternoon. For the Bruins to finally get a road win there. Great prices. I'm seeing plus 465 on Fraser Minton at Pinnacle. That is an amazing price considering he's centering the top line. Middlestat, that's good points by Jonathan. He's had success against Markstrom in the past. For New Jersey, Cody Glass Repair, Cody Glass Replace. He's really made some things happen lately. Dawson Mercer, there's value. And I'm going to go back to my guy, Arseny Gritchiak for New Jersey. He's been certainly chipping in lately for the Devils, so that's another goal prop I'll take a look at for the New Jersey side. All right, we got 2 games left. Utah, Mammoth, Dallas Stars. We've got Dallas minus 160, home favorites, 5.5, 6 the total in this game. Dallas rolling along. We'll see if they can keep it going. Utah, that was a very, very disheartening setback the other night against Pittsburgh. That was a clear Utah spot. At least I sure thought it was. And to be up 2-0, they couldn't get it to 3-0. And then they got into penalty trouble, and they just basically opened the door for the Pittsburgh Penguins to walk on through it. And walk on through it they did as the Penguins came back to win 4-3 over the Utah Mammoth in that game. That's now 4 straight losses here for the Utah Mammoth. So just when they were starting to put it together, they had a pretty solid 3-2 road trip. They won the first 3 games of that trip against the Capitals, Flyers, and Jackets. And then they've lost now subsequently 4 straight games, 2 of them to Chicago. They're going to be glad they're done with the Blackhawks, that they never have to see them again, because they've gone 0-3 against the Blackhawks here in the month of March. And they also had those losses to Pittsburgh and Minnesota as well. But yeah, it's been a rough go here for the Utah Mammoth. That being said, this kind of feels like what happened the last time. Utah was kind of off a disappointing homestand, a disappointing home loss. They got shut out by Chicago. Then they went on the road, and they played probably one of the best games they played, certainly on the road in recent memory. They went to Washington, and they beat the Capitals 3-2. This kind of feels like this is a spot for Utah to step up, and play better and come together now on the road after a very disappointing homestand and a disappointing loss where they're up 2-0 against Pittsburgh, and they end up losing 4-3 in that one. That being said, I don't know if I've got the guts to take Utah, but I will sprinkle on money, full game that is. But I'll dabble in them first goal, first period tonight. I will, because I remember that Washington game quite well. Now Dallas is a lot better than Washington. Okay, that's going to be the problem. Dallas is playing at a much higher level than Washington right now. But Utah jumped on Washington 2-0 in that game, that first road game after that bad homestand, and they had a great first period. They come out of the gate strong. They carried the play. They didn't give up much in the defensive zone. I could see that being the case here, and we saw already signs of Dallas getting a little complacent against Detroit. That was a banged-up Detroit team. They could have put them away early. They were up 2-0, let Detroit get back into it. And then, of course, they have to go to overtime against the Red Wings, although Thomas Harley rescues the victory for Dallas. I could see a little sluggish out of the gate, maybe, Dallas here in this one. Utah capitalizes. I don't fully trust Utah to win the game over 60 minutes, but I'll take a shot here at a very nice plus price here. Utah first goal, first period of the game. And I will sprinkle on the draw a little bit here as well. This is my first draw bet that I really can get behind. Dallas, 3 of the last 5 games for them have gone past regulation. Utah, 3 of the last 5 games for them have gone past regulation. Not to mention Utah-Dallas head-to-head. How about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of the 7 meetings since 6 of the last 7 meetings, Utah-Dallas, 1-goal decisions. Decided by exactly 1 goal, 6 of the last 7. Now, we haven't had many overtime games in those 7, but again, 6 of the last 7 meetings decided by 1 goal tells you we've been flirting with overtime quite a bit in recent games between these 2 teams. So that, to me, also kind of makes me think the draw is a solid option here in this one. Perlo, what do you think here, Utah-Dallas?
Yeah, that's my biggest bet on this one. I like the draw. It's perfect spot for a draw. I think Utah will kind of bring it a little better here, but I think Dallas will probably hold on. Dallas has shown that in the third periods, they can let teams back. They just did that against Detroit if they happen to be up.
They've actually shown both ways, where when they're up in the third, especially against a little bit of a weaker foe, they'll kind of fall asleep for a bit, let them back in. But they've also shown behind in the third period, they can come back and win the game. So they've done it both ways, comebacks and kind of letting teams back in.
Yeah. I'm not sure I can get behind that Utah first goal. I get it, but I really think this is no goals first 5 under 6.5. I think this is a tight battle. Dallas is a great shot suppression team. Utah is not a great shot producing team. It could be a little bit back and forth in the sense that one team seems to have an advantage and then the other team seems to have an advantage. I really do like the draw. I think Utah needs a point here just to make them feel good after those last two. And Dallas is a really good team and wouldn't be unhappy with the draw either. So I have no goals first 5, under 6.5 is my best bet on here. And the draw, those two. Kind of leaning towards 2-2 exact score, actually. And I got a little parlay also with Utah here for team total under 3.5 with the game that we're going to be talking about later. So I have that as well.
Yeah, you know what I did here, because they've been really generating a lot of chances and the pucks have been going in finally more for them lately, is a little Gunther, one for each team, Dylan Gunther, Wyatt Johnston goal parlay. Don't do many of those, but Wyatt Johnston and Dylan Gunther, they both scored in back-to-back games. So I did a little same game goal parlay with both of them. Michael Bunting getting his first goal as a member of the Dallas Stars against Detroit. Not bad value for him there, plus 380 as well. Might be something worth a look. I would say Ben, Steele, and Bork for Dallas. You got Bork on the top line. Ben's been starting to ramp it up offensively lately the last several games. Steele, who Matty Robb has cashed some bargain bin specials with on the show. They're all worth, maybe a look as well. For Utah, other than Gunther, I would say probably Lawson Krause too, because he's still with Schmaltz and Keller on that top line for them entering this game tonight. So those are some of the props I'll probably look to get involved with here in Utah and Dallas. By the way, we should acknowledge Karel Vejmelka is starting for Utah. Casey DeSmith starting for Dallas, not Jake Ottinger. DeSmith's been terrific. He stopped 66 of the last 73 shots that he has faced. I mean, he is not your average backup goaltender. Not this year. He has had a very, very good season as a backup tendy here for the Dallas Stars. 4-game win streak, and he's only conceded 7 goals in the last 73 shots that he has faced. So little tip of the cap to Casey DeSmith and the solid job he's doing. Of course, he's got a good team in front of him, but still, you got to acknowledge he's been a part of it, playing some pretty solid hockey. I kind of think this could be an under as a result. All right, next up, we've got Pittsburgh.
Don't tell me that. I already bet the under. Now I'm going to lose for sure.
You're right. Whenever I like an under, it's like, you're 100% right about that based on my track record. All right, it's on Monday. It's only on Prime. This is your – actually, you know what? I forgot that Calgary-Detroit's an Amazon Prime game in Canada as well. So they actually have a doubleheader tonight, Amazon Prime, Monday Night Hockey. Calgary-Detroit and this game, Pittsburgh and Colorado, where we have Colorado minus 220, home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. This is actually also the second game of the ESPN a doubleheader tonight in the United States. They've got this game with Bob Wischusen, the great Bob Wischusen, calling this game. Penguins and you got great play-by-play. This is going to be hard. Very, very difficult decision to make. Which feed do I watch for this game? You got Bob Wischusen, who I think is fantastic for ESPN, and you got John Forsland, who's going to be calling this game for the Prime broadcast in Canada, Monday Night Hockey. So it's tough choice. Pittsburgh did it again. I mean, just when you think this Pittsburgh team is like, how the hell are you guys doing it? But they come back. They beat Utah 4-3. They responded with a big win after it went south for them against Vegas the game before that. We'll see if they can keep it going here. Now, Colorado is becoming one of these teams, Perlo. We'll see if you agree with this thinking. You've got to figure out, you got to put on your Dr. Fraser Crane brain with Colorado. What are the games they're going to be up for? And what are the games they're going to be down for? And we were all over this, Alex and I, on Saturday with that Winnipeg-Colorado game. I said, I don't feel like this is a good spot for Colorado. I just got this feeling in my stomach they're just going to be fucking out of it, disinterested, just sluggish, flat, lackluster, got nothing going. And that's exactly what that was against the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday. It was an awful performance from a Colorado standpoint when we know they're capable of so much better than that. It didn't help that they got in very late. The travel from Seattle to Winnipeg for that game was delayed. I think that definitely played a role into it, no question. But that's where we're at with Colorado right now, because they're going to probably win the division, although they can't lay back too much because Dallas is still only a few points back. Now, Colorado's got the games in hand advantage over Dallas, but I still think, you can't completely take your foot off the gas pedal. One would think, though, after such a lethargic effort against Winnipeg on only scoring 1 goal and losing 3-1, that this is a spot. It's an ESPN game south of the border. Like, they're going to show up for it here and play better, play hard, you would think. I like both teams to score a little bit here in this first period. A little bit on the over by Fecta. I'm going to take a shot here, too, with Colorado, because a lot of times when they're off a real stinker, real clunker, they get on the board and get on the board quickly in the opening period. Now, you could, obviously, most books, Bet365, FanDuel, you name it, they have the goal in the first 10 market, the gift, as we've come to call it here on the show, and Addison is the gift master, if you will, gift master general, I guess we could say, with the goal in the first 10 minutes. Obviously, you can bet that at most books, and you can certainly do that here for this Colorado-Pittsburgh game. But I'm probably going to take this here one step further and go with Colorado to score in the first 10 minutes, which is something you can get right now at Bet365. It's plus 125. So that's Colorado to now, not just a goal in the first 10 minutes. Just make sure this is clear to everybody. This is Colorado to score in the first 10 minutes, plus 125. And Nick Porto saying what I was just about to say. The Pens have been garbage in the first lately. They have had slow starts. They got buried early by Utah on Saturday. They're very lucky that Utah just couldn't get that third goal. They pounced on Pittsburgh early. They had the start I was thinking Utah would have. They were up 2-0 early in that game against Pittsburgh. They couldn't make it 3-0. They let the Penguins hang around, and Pittsburgh ended up coming back to win. I could see Colorado jumping on them early, getting that goal. And rather than just bet a goal, because the price is way too expensive, Colorado, obviously, with Colorado goal in the first period, I think they can get it in the first 10 minutes of this game. So Colorado goal in the first 10 minutes, plus 125. It's not a market. I don't usually bet a specific team to score in the first 10 minutes very often, but I'm going to do that here with the Avalanche. Goal in the first 10 minutes, plus 125. Also like the over by Fecta. That Colorado team total over kind of makes sense too, but I'm going to wait just a bit to see if that price drops. Like it's minus 150 or higher pretty much everywhere. So wait a little bit for that price to drop. Maybe, like I say, if we get a couple minutes without them scoring, we're going to get a little better price in game. I don't trust Shelovs. I think Shelovs is going to start here tonight, and it is confirmed Artur Shelovs, as Dan Muse continues to alternate between him and Skinner as his goaltenders here for Pittsburgh. It's been not the Shelovs that we saw earlier in the season. We have seen Shelovs give up 5 goals to Vegas, 4 to Boston, 4 to Buffalo. It has not been a great stretch of games for him coming out of the Olympic break, like 4 goals or more in the majority of his starts. So I think this Avs team total can get there, but I'm going to wait to see if I can get a better price with that 3.5 early in game. Perlo, what do you think here for this final game of the night? Penguins, Avs. Oh, by the way, Malkin back from serving his 5-game suspension. So he is back after finishing serving his suspension.
Yeah. We're very similar. I have the Perlo special on this one. I got, but I have it a little different. I'm taking Colorado to score the first goal, first period, and Pittsburgh to score a goal in the second period, and you can get that at plus 150. So I haven't did one of those in a while, but I like Colorado, like you said, to come out quick here. I would have actually liked it better if Crosby was playing. I just think there would have been even more motivation for them to do that. But because he's not, Malkin's back though. So at home in a major, I can't see them being flat. I can understand the Jets game being flat, but I can't see them being flat here. I said I was going to do a parlay with team totals. I have Utah team total under 3.5. and Colorado team total over 3.5. Now I got that at minus 150. I don't know what the price is right now, but minus 150 was the Colorado team total over, but you put them together, it was plus 150. So I don't do that very often either, but I really like it. Shinnikov overshots. Nelson has been shooting like a son of a gun right now. There's one guy that is just actually playing no matter what the situation. He's playing extremely well, playing some of the best hockey of his career. And I'm going to go with Colorado overshots, team shots at 35.5. I'm not going to take
that's a good
the
market to look for, and if you can find it, the team shots, because then you don't have to worry about the goalie getting pulled on the other side, where if you bet that goalie saves props over. So that's a big difference.
So that at 35.5, it's minus 125. So those are my bets on this one. But I agree with you. I'm tempted to almost take Colorado puck line here. I really think that they're going to come out and play a really good game here. And when they decide they're going to win games, we've seen in the regular season so far, they don't just win by a little bit. They win by margin, especially when they're at home. So I don't even mind the Colorado puck line if you want to play that.
Yeah, I like Nelson. That's a good one, Nick. I like that's on my prop list. Brock Nelson. Yep, for Colorado. As far as finding the back of the net here, let's hope we finally get it right with Anthony Mantha, because I used him as a bargain bin 2 games ago. He didn't score. I didn't come back to it last game against Utah, and of course, what happened? He scored. Of course, he did. Happens to Alex too a lot, where he doesn't score when we use him as a bargain bin. We don't bet it next game, and he does score. That's what happened with Anthony Mantha last game, but I'm going to go back to the well with Mantha here. Shinnikov, I wouldn't argue with that. Looks like Shinnikov, Novak, and Malkin is the configured top line for Dan Muse tonight, with Malkin back from his suspension. Mantha, Raquel, Rust on the second line. Billy Koivunen, Ben Kindle, Justin Brazeau in the third line. Elmer Soderblom, Connor Dewar, Nola Chari, the fourth line. But for Colorado, definitely Brock Nelson's goal prop I like quite a bit. It's had success. I think there's some value too. Nate, just by the way, multiple game goal streak. The price isn't great, but he has been scoring for Colorado. Kadri on the top line, maybe a little on Yoel Kiviranta too, because there's a little value there with him. He's with Nelson and Big Val right now on that second line, so that could be something worth a look here in this one. John X saying, I remember 2 years ago, Pens went in Colorado at a 5-0 lead after 2 and lost the game. Yeah, I remember that game. It was a couple of years ago. That Pittsburgh actually got off to a slow start, or Colorado, I should say, looked like they were dead and buried in that game, and they ended up coming back down 5-0 in the third period to beat Pittsburgh.
Third period too, wasn't it? It was all in the third period.
All in the third,
last 15 minutes or something like that. They just, I remember that.
Yeah, it was absolute insanity to see that transpire the way it did, for sure. But nevertheless, as far as goal props are concerned, I already mentioned them. All right, we can move on. I already mentioned them. All right, great stuff. Oh, by the way, one more point on that game. Just the gift for that game in general at Bet365, goal in the first 10 minutes is minus 165 right now. That's another one where I'm just going to wait for a minute or two of maybe scoreless hockey, wait for that price to drop just a tick, and maybe bet a little of that too. That's in addition to the Colorado goal in the first 10 minutes that I bet pregame at plus 125 with the Penguins and the Avs. Yeah, it is Wedgwood. Wedgwood is in net for the Avs. He's the better goalie right now in my mind than Blackwood. To me, when I look at the two goalies, I say, I know who's played better lately for the Avalanche, and it's Wedgwood, not Blackwood. And it is going to be Wedgwood, and that's no surprise because Jared Bednar's also been alternating between Blackwood and Wedgwood from one game to the next. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Looking forward to this Monday slate. We also want to remind you that next Tuesday, 8 days away, our next NHL live betcast, Tuesday, March 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Is open to everybody, free for all betcast. Make sure you join us, 7 p.m. Eastern. DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the betcast, and we will send you the link before it begins. So that's next Tuesday, March 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Live betcast. Looking forward to that. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. Currently, I'm number one NHL and college basketball on the site. Tons of great handicappers. NCAA tournament is here. There'll be plays all week long from all the handicappers on the website. And don't forget MLB right around the corner. NHL and NBA still ongoing daily. So make sure you check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. And, of course, patreon.com/Ice Guys, $10 per month. We are so close to 400 Patreons. We are closing in on 400 Patreon members. We need your help to get to that mark. We've set a goal in mind to get to 400 Patreon members before the end of March. We're at 396 right now, 396 paid Patreon members, 4 away from the big 400. So let's see if we can make it happen before the end of the month. Get on board, of course. Great time to get on board because not only will you get the totals charts, the goalie charts, the daily betting card, sides totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page, but we are going to have a ton of betcasts that are exclusive to our Ice Guys Patreon members only in April and beyond for the latter part of the regular season and the Stanley Cup playoffs. So you're not going to want to miss out on any of those betcasts. So again, get involved if you haven't already. Just $10 per month. Now that's the base amount. With Patreon fees, and they've increased, unfortunately, the Patreon fees on their end out of their control. I think it comes out closer to like $14.50 a month, but still, it's a great bargain, 100%. So make sure you get on board. And again, your membership and your subscription, it goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. So check it out. Get on board. $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. And also the Dub Club All Sports subscription discount offer. $50 off 1 month all sports subscription to the Dub Club service that I have. That's still available, that discount for Patreon Ice Guys members only. And it's posted on the page. NHL, NBA, college basketball, MLB starts next week. Oh, and you want to bet some football? I'll have some football for you. How about some spring football? UFL, United Football League season, begins next Friday, March 27. I will be betting that. I will be handicapping it. It will be part of the Dub Club service. So that's part of it as well. You can check out the $50 off discount at Dub Club for all that on the Patreon page as well. So make sure you check it out. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. And of course, check out the Ice Guys store as well. Get your gear and your merch over at the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. No, Benji, you got me. You finally found something I'm not betting. Malaysian badminton. No.
You're not doing Korean baseball either.
Not doing that either. No. Not cricket. So like I said, it is not that. You finally found something I'm not involved in. So well done, Benji, on that. It varies. It's a good question, but it varies based on the time of year. Like when it's only baseball in like July, it's like obviously, maybe 6-7 bets per day. Obviously, when you got multiple hockey, like right now, hockey, basketball going on at the same time, it's double digits easily, because I'm a high volume bettor. So it varies. Obviously, September to December, it's very high volume. So like I said, no snooker either. No. Although people I know are very good betting snooker and darts, some of those sports that are very popular over in England.
I got a buddy that makes a ton off of darts, man.
I know. I know some people that have done real well with darts betting, but I throw enough darts doing this stuff, regular sports every day.
Yeah. Sometimes that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Certainly this past weekend, that's what I was doing. That's for sure.
I know. Like I said, it hasn't been my greatest weekend in hockey, especially. No. College basketball has been pretty damn good. I mean, we've had a couple of break-even days the last couple, but overall, like the last week, the conference tournaments were great and overall profitable, no question. So hopefully that's a sign that we can keep it going in the NCAA tournament. All right, bargain bin special of the night, best bets. We got those coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, bargain bin special of the night for this Monday card. We've got nice 5-game slate here to choose from. Perla, we'll start with you. I mean, I've got a tough encore. 2-0 last night with bargain bin special with Colin Graff and with Bobby McMahon. So not easy to follow that, but we'll try. Perla, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night.
Yeah, and check me out on 9:30 Eastern every night. Rico and Perla's House of Exotic Picks Frolic, Jaime's Exotic Picks Frolic, where we have Dre Martinez. You see JD in the chat here quite often. And tonight, I think we're going to have Tim too. We're going to have Swag on tonight. So check that out, 9:30 Eastern, for all the picks for tomorrow. I got an interesting one here. I got two, but I got an interesting one. I'm going to take the Hughes brothers, both over shots. Luke Hughes at 1.5 and Jack Hughes at 3.5. That's plus 330. Going to parlay those together. And I talked a lot about how I like Seider over shots, and I actually like Seider to score a goal today. So plus 600. I'm going to take Moritz Seider to score a goal here in Detroit.
All right, there we go. I like it. Very good with Perla with his bargain bin specials for the night. I've got two. The first one, give me Fraser Minton, Boston, centering that top line, plus 465. Best price out there. Fraser Minton, Boston, plus 465 for my first bargain bin special. The second one, Noah Laba for the New York Rangers. I like the price. I mean, plus 750. Is out there at various books. He has scored in back-to-back games, goals in 3 of the last 5 games for the New York Rangers as well. So I'm liking that value for sure. Someone that's playing with some pretty good confidence right now. So Noah Laba plus 750 for the New York Rangers, along with Fraser Minton for Boston plus 465 for my 2 bargain bin specials for this Monday night. All right, best bets. Perla, what do you got for best bet?
I'm going to go with the over 5.5 with the Boston, New Jersey game. I love that play. And for a prop, I'm going to go with Gibson over 23.5 saves.
Yeah, Addison, I knew you had already taken care of La Bamba, so I appreciate that. I knew that was already on the Ice Guys Greatest Hits. Check it out, by the way. Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your music, whatever music services you use. We have an Ice Guys Greatest Hits playlist. Addison curated it, put it together, most of the songs that I've referenced and sung on this show. So make sure you check it out. It's actually really good. A lot of good music. Just if you're a music fan, you're going to enjoy a lot of the songs. It's a nice little mix, nice little blend for sure. All right, hopefully we got a nice little mix and a nice little blend here as far as a best bet for tonight. I'm just going to go keep it straightforward. We've been riding these LA Kings games over the total. And I like the Kings here a little bit, money line and team total over, but I like just the regular full game over most of all. So let's go with Kings Rangers over 5.5, minus 110 to minus 115 is the best price out there with that right now. I think we're going to see, obviously, Kings try to get a little offense going. It's Artemi Panarin's big return to MSG and New York. They've obviously been scoring goals, but they've been giving up more. They've been playing with more pace, as we've documented under DJ Smith. The Rangers have been trending over the total as well. So let's go with that for best bet. Boy, we need a best bet winner. It's been a bit of a cold run with the last few days. So hopefully it's tonight. Kings Rangers over 5.5, minus 115 for my best bet. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. And Alex will be back tomorrow. We'll have Matt Robinson in the house as well, as always on Tuesdays, ready to break it down. Looking forward to that. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Perlo, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will see you tomorrow on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.